So, where did the idea of Lawtown come about? Well, I'm from Lawrence, Massachusetts, and its slang name is called Lawtown. And in 2006, I wrote a feature length action drama screenplay called Lawtown. Sort of based on my city, but in a fictionalized world. If it had became an actual movie someday, it wouldn't have been filmed in Lawrence. It would have been just called Lawtown, like an actual city called Lawtown somewhere in a fictional USA place. So my teacher Fred Rubin said, "I think you know this screenplay so well. You wrote it ahead of time." And I told him, I said, "Well, I'm from Lawrence, Massachusetts. They call it Lawtown, and I'm familiar with the aspects and the different things that go on in the city. That's all I'm familiar with. I am not doing the screenplay ahead of time. I'm writing it as I go along in the class." So then he told me, he said, "Well, based on what I've read and what I've seen so far in your work, Lawtown is a big, big place. And there's so many things going on in it that it could be more than a movie." I told him, "What about a TV show?" "Yes, I could see this as a series, a nighttime drama." I told him I would love to write something like that someday. So then I moved home in 2019, and that was one of my goals, to make Lawrence Lawtown into an actual soap opera. And the backdrop would be my childhood neighborhood. And my goal was to use all the houses, but I said to myself, if I use all of them, some of the tenants or the owners are not going to like that. So I decided just to keep two families on the block as the main focus, not four like I originally wanted, or five. And there would have been too many cast members at that point. So I limited it down to two core families. The Lopez family and the Moore family. And the Lopez family is the hardworking Dominican family, and the Moore family is the rich, spoiled family who don't really have to do that much. And those are the two families in Lawtown. And it's going to take place on Wilmot Street, my old child neighborhood, when I was a kid. When I film it, I'm mostly going to use my childhood house as the Lopez house, and shots will be mostly there on the porch or around the front, and then just zoom in and just do establishing shots of the White House across the street, which used to be the Little House when I was a kid. I'm not going to be filming on the property, but just showing that the Moore family lives there. That's all I'm going to be doing. And there's going to be characters walking in front of it to establish people are coming out of the house or going to the backyard or exiting the backyard or walking across the street to the Lopez house. And that's where most of the action will take place, on Wilmot Street in Lawtown, Lawrence. And the characters are Charles Moore. He's very ludicrous. He inherited the Moore Mills when a devastating incident happened in 2000. And he's friends with Pablo and Reina Lopez. They moved to America from the Dominican Republic in the year 2000 to start a new life. They purchased their house on Wilmot Street with money they made in the Dominican Republic, and they got a job at the Moore Mills, and they were some of the best employees, and they lived right across the street from Charles Moore in his house that his father built. And the couple, they have the idea of opening a restaurant, and Charles decides to give them a loan. So this loan, he gives them 25 years to pay off. And now in present day, the loan still hasn't been paid off yet, and Charles is not as lenient as he once was. He's distanced himself from his wife, Christina, his kids, Allison and Matthew, and he sold the Moore Mills, and Pablo and Reina lost their jobs, and they had a struggle working at the restaurant and trying to get the money to pay off the loan. And Charles opened up Moore Realty, and he's been there with his secretary, Becky, and he finds comfort in her, and he has an affair with her behind his wife's back. So that's just a little breakdown of the two families. And then getting back into the Lopez family, they have 3 children. They have Victor, who's the oldest. He's 18. They have Jessica, the middle child. She's 16. And they have Jesus. He's 14. And the more children are Allison. She's 16, and she's best friends with Jessica across the street. And there's Matthew. He's 14, and he was best friends with Jesus across the street. But Jesus and Matthew were the smartest kids in their class in middle school. And Jesus was always made fun of, and he knew that someday when he went to Lawrence High, the stakes were going to be worse if he went to Lawrence High. He had to go to Trinity High School. Trinity High School was the Catholic high school, and that's where everyone went that was smart, and nobody would hurt anybody there. It was a good school, and that's where he wanted to go. But somehow Matthew Moore bet him out in the entrance exam test, and he got a scholarship over him. So because Pablo and Reina have to still pay off that loan, they have to send all their kids to Lawrence High School. And Jesus hates this idea, and he's all against Matthew now. And he's become an enemy to him and tells him to watch out for him. And then in Lawrence High School, he meets up with this punk, Eduardo, in the halls, who kind of scuffles with him. And then he meets a guy named Manny, who kind of introduces him to the bad parts of Lawrence and the bad things in life. And who knows, Jesus might change from a nice, brainiac guy with glasses to a bad boy in town. And then Jessica loves fashion. She loves fashion, but she likes to show skin, and her mother hates that. So one day she's out in the street, and she runs into this really scummy guy named Chinito. What a name, Chinito, right? And he's going to introduce her to some really dark places as well. And it's up to Jesus and Jessica to decide, are they going to take that path they're going to go or not? And they might have to take that path that they take because a big incident is going to occur in the pilot toward the end of the episode, caused by Charles Moore himself. And Charles Moore is not going to be a good father. Like I said, he's going to be distanced from his kids and his family. And Allison takes a liking to Garrett. Garrett Jennings. He's the new African-American boy in town. And he comes over the house, and Charles, the shit, hits the fan when he finds him with Allison. And not only does Allison have feelings for Garrett, she also has feelings for Victor across the street. So there's going to kind of be a triangle there going on. And who will she choose? Victor or Garrett? Or neither? Or herself? Or who knows? So that's basically what Lawtown will be about in just a little summary. There's a lot more that's going to go on that I haven't mentioned. There's going to be cliffhangers. There's going to be action. There's going to be suspense. There's going to be secrets, lies, sins, revenge, lust, passion, betrayal, maybe even murder. Welcome to Lawtown, babies. Welcome to Lawtown.